Hey guys, welcome to the Words with Woodsman podcast. We're so glad that you are here. I didn't count down again. I just let Randy roll.
I'm not worried about me.
Yeah.
We're glad to be here, Josh.
Are you glad to be here? Yeah. Andy is learning how to use social media, I think. You work with students. Have they not taught you?
I'm figuring it out.
You know, I used to have a student that would teach me like a new slang word every week that like teenager. It's always changing. Like it
does.
It does. And did you know that camo is actually cool now?
You were telling me about that.
All the teenagers are wearing it.
What store were you at?
The mall. So
wait, why were you at the mall?
So okay.
That's
so,
not the
Who goes
woods.
to the mall anymore?
It was cold. Actually, everyone. That place was like flooded with people. And so it's like the teenage hangout right now. Okay. So my wife, so it was cold. It was rainy. There wasn't a whole lot going on. She wanted to go for a walk, right? Because she's on this, on a fitness thing. She's dragging me along on this thing, right? With my moon pie hat. She wanted to go to the mall and walk around. And so that helped her get her steps in. So we went to the mall and she drugged me into, what's it? Hollister, American Eagle, one of those. I don't know.
Which one?
I was a Walmart child. Okay. I didn't frequent those places, as you could probably tell by how I'm dressed.
not laughing about just the fact that you just said you went into Hollister or.
Okay. Fun fact. Hollister has camouflage. Like it looked like they had a literal NASCAR Bass Pro Shops like Martin Truex Jr. jacket. And camo sweatpants and camo shirts. And I felt like I was in Bass Pro. I'm like, why is this? And then I'm walking around the mall and every other teenager that passes me is wearing camo.
Did you buy camo from that store?
I did not. I have bought camo from Old Navy before. I have a sweatshirt but outside of that, it's only been like an outdoor-esque kind of store. But the thing is the moral of the story, and this is what happens to me, right? If you stick consistent with a certain style long enough, eventually you'll be cool because it'll cycle back around. Like Crocs, maybe they'll come back for. I think they've come back twice.
Are they not cool? Because I'm wearing them now.
No, I don't think so. I mean, my wife says they're not cool. I have camo Crocs.
I'm literally wearing my camo Crocs.
I wear them all the time. But evidently, she says they're not. I wore them to Kroger one time.
Socks on or off?
No socks. No
Okay,
socks.
just checking.
I use them a lot when I'm launching the boat because it allows me to step off into the water without.
And if you lose it, they float.
They do float. I've proven this. I had a jet ski accident and it floated away. But maybe that's a story. Maybe we can share those kind of stories. She was embarrassed because I went into Kroger in my Crocs. So maybe we should do like a live poll. Is it okay to wear? I'm going to use this podcast as like my own personal validation, I think, of like, is it okay? So comment on the video. Is it okay to wear Crocs in public?
With or without socks?
And you'll help me prove my point.
With or without socks?
I think you're confusing this with the socks. I think you're making this more complex.
We gotta see what kind of audience you have.
Because socks
Crocs
with sandals
socks or
is
no
cool
socks?
now.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
You're just making things up.
Well, I mean, if you
Let's call your children. Let's ask them. You have a daughter who's a teenager.
High school kids wear sandals with socks. So it's a hip thing.
Okay.
It's hip. Did you say hip?
Hip.
I don't think they say hip anymore. I think
hip
they say
is not hip.
Actually, I do know. I think I know what they say. They say fire.
Fire.
It's fire.
That's fire.
The closest thing you are to the hip is a replacement.
It's true.
That
You are
is
getting
true.
old.
I am working on that one.
Who at the table is a grandfather? Not I.
Not I.
Yep.
Andy.
Haters gotta hate.
Well, anyway, so you just got back from Florida. So how was that?
It was great. So got to do some surf fishing. The weather was good.
Well, there you go. Surf fishing? Like beach fishing or like
Yeah, you throw the...
in the surf?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't do any of that. Like we were always on a boat. Like we didn't frequent the beaches, but I do know people do that. Like I've been over to South Carolina and it's actually really really popular over there.
Yeah, sent out a couple pyramid sinkers as far out as we could throw it.
Did you catch anything?
First day we got a 32 and 36-inch redfish.
Come on.
Off the beach, which was exciting. Nice. And then the weather turned and it was they marked it double red. I don't know if you've ever seen that at a beach.
Like double flags?
double red flags. If you put your foot in the water, it's like a $500 fine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, it's expensive.
Yep. So we couldn't go to the beach for half the time.
And you know, those like I was in a sporting goods store and I saw those beach poles, like the actual rods that they use for those things are insane. The size of them, but it's like designed where you could like really swing back and just launch it. And so they're pretty cool. I was like, man, these are really long rods here.
Yeah. So the idea is to keep the line over the waves, and for the long cast. But it's amazing when a big fish takes a bite at the beach.
There you go.
It starts just pulling.
So this was like the first. So while you were gone, I'll give you guys the update of the week. So Randy knows this because he was here. We didn't go anywhere, but it was like the first semi-warm week we've had in a little bit. Got to take the boat out a couple times, take a few of the guys from the group fishing. We did okay. We caught like 6 crappie on one day, and all legal crappie. That was just the ones we kept. But at the honey hole that none of you believe is
You went
real.
up there?
I did.
Yeah. And even some guy tried to vouch for the honey hole.
Yeah.
You were straight pulling it, or what were you using?
We were jigging.
Minnows? Oh,
yeah.
you were jigging.
Jigging
Okay.
from the boat. Yeah. But the water level is really low. And so we're seeing you get to see like some interesting boat ramp adventures that happen with that. Like when I was backing mine in, because you got to be real careful when the water's low. We actually ran off the back of the boat ramp and my trailer just disappeared. Like it just fell off into the hole. And Cash was with me and I just looked out the window and I was like, that's not good. Like the trailer's just gone.
But would the boat floated up?
Yeah, the boat
Yeah.
just floated off.
Yeah.
Cash had it, so it didn't go far. But the trailer just like it was there. Like normally it just kind of gradually goes down, but it was there. It just whoom, like it's completely gone. But
the ramps only go so far out.
right, and then you're in the mud, which kind of concerned me because I have a 2-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I hope I don't have to call anyone to like come pull me out. But that just makes boat ramps always full of adventures, right? Like I'm sure we could probably share some stories of some boat ramp adventures.
Most of the ones I see are the people trying to back up. Seems like for the very first time, and then you want to go out there and help them, but at the same time you want to watch them because they got to learn.
Well, then you got the spousal battles that happen. They say that like nothing tests a marriage more than a boat ramp. Which is kind of fitting because I think our verse today is the whole listen before you speak passage in James. So maybe it's appropriate today to share that.
Well, when I was a kid, my grandfather wanted to go on a trip. We were living in Maryland at the time, and he wanted to go out to New Jersey. So we trailered the boat 2.5 hours to New Jersey. We brought another father and son. So it was me and Grandpa and then 2 other folks. And we were going to go on this fishing. We were going after flounder specifically up in Jersey. And as we were putting the boat in, Grandpa asked the other adult, like, hey, do you mind grabbing the rope? The guy turned around and took 2 steps and didn't notice that it went down. And hit his head on the dock, fell in the water, and came up without his glasses. And the guy's like blind without his glasses. So we get him back up. His name is Mark. So we're fishing, and his son's name is Matt. And we're fishing, and Mark claims he's got a fish he snagged on the bottom, moves his weight, and the chair he's in snaps in half. Like, we've never had an issue with these chairs. This is just a crazy fishing day. So we didn't do great fishing. We survived, though. We get in. I remember putting the boat on the trailer. I was 8 to 10 years old, somewhere in that range. And my grandfather, has it all figured out. He has a checklist. Everything's good to go.
Got it. He's
We're going to
down.
start trailering back. We're on the equivalent of what would be a Route 1 or a 301. And I look back and I go, Grandpa, what happened to the boat? He looks back. It's on the road.
Oh, no.
It came off the trailer. So I remember him going to someone like, hey, make sure you clip that in. It was on the checklist, right?
Was there no safety chains? Like
That's what I mean. It was never
the safety chains didn't make the list.
well, there was a safety chain and then the clip. And then we would typically tie, onto the back tires as well. Somehow we missed all 3 of those checklist items. The boat is now on the middle of the road. We've got the trailer. And I go, Grandpa, what happened to the boat? And my grandfather, who chooses his words wisely, looks back and goes, shut up, Andy.
So wait. I was confused. So the trailer wasn't missing. The boat was
off
missing.
the trailer.
No.
The boat came off the trailer.
Did it is this the boat that you currently
This is the
own?
boat I currently have. It's the same motor and everything.
This is where all the scratches came from.
So there was a guy behind us, that said, hey, I can help. We backed it up, and as we winched it back up on, I imagine, no damage. It was an aluminum boat. It just bounced off the road.
Could you imagine being behind them? Like,
boat just
like
comes
you're just
off.
driving along, and I don't know, in your Fiat, and all of a sudden here comes this aluminum boat sliding down the road.
So I don't know what to do. Yeah.
I wrote that as a paper when I was in like 6th grade, the craziest fishing story.
Jeez.
3 horrible things.
I don't have anything that tops that. So my wife and I, we used to, we had a jet ski a few years ago. We don't have it anymore. But we would love to go out to Fort Loudon Lake, which is a local lake here, and ride the jet ski on the weekends. And we come up to the boat ramp, and my story's not near as dramatic as that one. So we, maybe I should have told mine first. We, but
Reorder
it. But we came back, and you know, the boat ramp's full of people, and there's like a family reunion happening next to the boat ramp, which I think made it worse because there's so many onlookers, which, you know, for people who are not, you know, they're not used to backing a boat down the trailer, it makes them a little more uncomfortable, right? There's more pressure. Like you want to seem like you know what you're doing. And so we pull up to the dock, and I have my wife hold the jet ski, and I go up to get the truck and trailer. Well, there's this Jeep with double, like the twin jet skis on a trailer. So it's double trailered, and he's coming down, and he said, hey, super polite guy, super nice. I feel bad for what's about to happen to him. But he goes, hey man, this is I just bought this thing from Facebook Marketplace. These two skis, this is my first time launching them. And I thought, oh, we're going to be here in a while. And he goes, but he was super polite. He goes, you go ahead and get yours out, and that way you can be hooking up and you're not waiting on me. And I'm like, wow, this guy is so nice. You don't always get that, right? And so I went and I said, thank you so much. And I went and got my truck in the trailer, and I back down, and we get the ski loaded up, and we get it up on the hill. Well, I'm up on the hill tying it down while he's trying to launch it. And he never unhooked the bow lines. So the winch is still hooked up. He's never done this before, okay? So I'm not making fun of him, but I'm just got to paint the picture here, okay? His wife is standing on the dock. He's in the Jeep. They just unhooked the locks on the winch cables. Normally, you unhook the whole thing, right? Yep. And if you're doing a jet ski, double jet ski, like I would just recommend launching one at a time, right? Well, he tries to launch them both. And so I don't know how he thought his wife was going to like wrangle these two jet skis at the same time. Well, rather than hooking the bow line, he just lets them pull, like, so it's going as they're pulling the winch out, pulling all the line out of the winch. I don't know how he thought they were going to unhook from the bow, right? And so one gets off, the one that's closest to the dock, his wife's able to reach down and unhook, and so she pulls to the side. He thinks he's good, so he starts driving up the boat ramp.
The second one's still hooked
up. The second one is half on the trailer, half off the trailer, still hooked up. The winch cable is at its very end, so that's the only thing holding the ski. He drags half of the jet ski up the boat ramp. And so I'm hooking everything up, and all this, I don't know how this is going to sound on mic, but I hear, and I'm like, oh no. And so I come running. Some dad at this family reunion saw his moment. So he turns, and he's like, it's like Superman. I imagine like he was getting ready to like pray over the food, and he just vanished. He runs over there, rips his shirt. This is my chance. Superman. And so he runs over there. It takes both of us to lift this jet ski, like, because all the fuel, everything is shifted to the back now. Yep. I'm hollering at the Jeep. I'm going, stop, stop, stop. And so we get down there, and finally, like, it takes 3 grown men on the back, his wife cranking the winch just to get this jet ski up. And they're pretty big jet skis, up and back on the trailer. And he got lucky. All he did was he scratched up, like there's a metal plate next to the impeller. He just scratched that up. And so he got so lucky with that.
God, yeah. It would have been great to watch them when they load it back up.
Yeah.
When they come in, I can see them like, wham.
I hope he learned his lesson, like, because that was absolutely nuts. You had an interesting encounter the other day, didn't you?
No,
you don't want to tell your story, do you?
Good. It was rough water.
So Randy, I'll tell the story, Andy, since you were out of town. Randy shoots me a text on Sundays. So Sunday's group day, okay? Randy shoots me a text saying, hey, before group, can you meet me at the boat ramp? He's been working on his boat. okay, testing out some fuel lines, right?
Yep.
And that kind of stuff. And I'm going to leave the story to him at this part, but he failed to check the wind. Let's just say that.
It was, well, that day, it wasn't windy. But as the day went on, that Sunday,
It became windy.
it became
I was
windy.
outside. It was windy.
Yeah.
And he felt it in Florida.
Yeah. So take off because I couldn't come back and get Josh because it was pretty bad at the
He
dock.
left me at the dock because the chop, it was a west wind.
Yep.
The chop was so bad at the boat ramp that because we were just running a test run. Like,
Yeah.
I was going to go with him. I threw my life jacket in the boat, everything. I finally just say, just go.
Plus, there was other people
Yeah.
waiting to get in.
But where was your sheet?
I don't need a sheet.
didn't have a
It's
check.
all up here. It's all up here.
It's up here, right? Yeah.
That's a lot more wind.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hot air.
So he takes off, and I'm looking at the lake is white capping, and so Randy is. I'm watching him bounce like, and while he's doing that, like, I'm standing at the dock, and all these other boaters are like fleeing to come in because it was calm and then it wasn't calm. So I'm down at the boat dock, like, helping these guys get their boats, because one guy shows up in this big bass boat. He's by himself. I'm like, dude, he's gonna beat this dock to death if someone doesn't help him. And so I'm like holding his boat, and then a bass tracker shows up, and this was their first time out on that boat that they just bought from. What's the deal with me and marketplace people?
Look, I was helping Josh reach other people while he's.
Is that what you were doing?
Just like we did
true.
back in our day.
Well,
Such a giver.
I helped that guy get his boat out of the water. It's so I thought he was going to swamp it because it was just pounding. And so then Randy comes back, and I back his trailer down in the water. I get in his car and I back his trailer down in the water. And what exactly happened? Wave caught you?
I think
Wind
it's
caught
the
you?
Wave. I think it wasn't
Please
the
tell me
wind.
he fell in.
No,
He didn't fall in.
Oh,
I hit the wheel well and the little guide arm on the back.
He just got this boat.
first time?
Yeah, and well, that was the second time I trailered it because me and my wife went out the day before when it was better. But I still had fuel issues, so I went and did some things, and that's why I asked Josh to come Sunday. So I didn't have to leave the boat on the dock tied up while Raina pulled the car off, and anyways. Yeah, smacked the crap out of it, pulling it on, and I felt stupid because I've never done that before.
We've all been there.
And now I got to adjust my wheel well.
He
a little further over than it needs to be. So,
He bent the wheel. He bent the fender on the trailer.
Yep.
And thankfully he didn't, he just scratched the boat pretty good. He didn't gash it, thankfully.
I got me a new buffer so I can buff it out again.
Perfect.
So there you
Practice.
Yeah,
There you
I've
go.
had plenty of practice cleaning the boat.
So that's what we did while you were out of town. So while you were catching fish and we were tearing things up.
And then we go fishing in that wind, and it's
Oh, it's awful. Like you feel we were at the piers, so you felt the whole pier swaying. Well, we are coming up on our first break. And so when we get back, we'll dive right off into the book of James. Stick around. All right, guys, welcome back to the Words with Woodsman podcast. I don't know what's happening right now. But we are getting ready to continue through James 1. You guys been enjoying James 1?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much there. Like, there's just so many things to take from it. So we're up to, you ready for this? Verse 16.
slow down.
Week 7.
Week 7, 7 podcasts in, and we've only made it to verse 16. That's okay.
Wasn't podcast the first one?
It's just an intro.
Yeah.
Oh, so six podcasts in. There we go.
I know my numbers.
You know,
Not really.
sometimes.
Still lucky guess.
No, yeah, there's something going on there. All right, so I'm going to read. I'll read verse 16 and 17, and then we can have a chat about it. So this is James 1, starting with verse 16. It says, "Don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters." So James is like offering a warning here. "Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like the shifting shadows." For me, the thing that, and I'll share this, and then you guys can kind of share your thoughts on it. But the thing that really comforts me in that is just the fact of how many things in our life change, right? Everything changes, right? Your job can change. my mortgage actually changed here recently. Like all these different things, taxes, all these different things like change in our lives. But the thing that we can count on, the most important thing, doesn't change. And that's God. And that's his love for us. That's his view of us, like all those different things. It doesn't change at all. And so for me, like, who is very flawed, like we all are, like just that sheer fact to me that no matter what season of life I walk through, he's going to remain constant the same.
I feel like we get distracted by so many things day to day that's not, I mean, that's a good thing to remember as we read through this, because I know personally, I mean, something small happens at work, personally, a family member, you just get distracted, but you take a step back and you realize that God's there the whole time.
Well, and the thing is, like work is a great example of that, because like a new boss can change the dynamic of everything, right? You can go from being like comfortable and in the groove and you feel like you're like the most valuable employee to you feel like you're going to get fired like the very next day with a change of leadership, right? And like for the people that James is writing to, it's about to get rough for them. Like it's already rough. Like there's a reason why they're scattered, right? Things aren't great under, I believe it's Emperor Claudius, who's like over Rome at this time, but he's about to hand off to his successor, which is Emperor Nero. And if you go look up history on this, Nero did awful things to Christians. Like he impaled them, he dipped them in wax and used them as candle lights to like light down the streets. Like he executed thousands of them, all these different things. James is sharing all this. And this is something that they're going to have to know. They're going to have to know that God doesn't change like shifting shadows. Like he's going to be the same, right? Because you need that point of reference.
When I was concerned about how someone perceived something I said, these guys are worried about being impaled.
Right.
Turned into a candle. The
Right.
scope of things has changed dramatically.
And what's crazy is the church was thriving in the midst of that. Like the church was built for persecution, like to be able to withstand it. I remember back during COVID, and I had someone ask me, I wasn't planning on sharing this today, but I had someone ask me, because there was a lot of rumors floating around. Like I think it was happening in Canada a little bit, where like it was illegal to attend church. Like they were locking church doors. I read that somewhere, I'm not sure, but someone out of response to that asked me, hey, what do you think that would be like here? Like if, let's say we were in the middle of COVID and the government said, hey, churches, you're done. Like you're not going to meet anymore. And there was a point in time in the midst of that where I kind of felt like that was like really possible to happen, right? Because especially in the middle of it. And so someone asked me, hey, what would it look like? And I think my response kind of caught them off guard, because I said, I actually think, and hang in there with me, okay? So don't blow me up on the comments for this, but I said, I actually think it would be the best thing that ever happened to the church. And they just kind of like, what? To give some context, I worked at the church at that time, right? So that felt much different, me saying that. And the reason why I said that is I said, right now we live in a society where there's people that show up to church for the wrong reasons. They want to look a certain way, or they want to maybe get some social points by going to church. But in that society, one, that would cease to exist, right? Because now coming to church is illegal. But I said the most important part of this is your address, your home would become the church. Mm-hmm. Instead of going to a building, you would invite people into your home. And could you imagine like baptisms happening in the back in the pool or in the creek or whatnot? And in the tub. And all those, I actually baptized someone in a tub during COVID. It was a weird experience having that many people in the bathroom all at the same time. But the thing is, as I mentioned, I said, hey, I think that would be the best thing that happened to the church, because the church, which is not a building, it's not a place, it's us, right? Followers of Jesus are the church. We would actually be forced to do our jobs in that. Like where, hey, if you want church to happen, if you want the worship and the teaching of the word and the gathering together to happen, you do it in your home. And that's what these people were doing right here in this passage.
I heard a pastor say the toughest decision and biggest regret he has during that time was when he closed the door for 4 or 6 weeks, whatever it was, at an abundance of caution. He wasn't 100% sure what was going on and what the downturn effect would be. And somebody responded to that going, well, don't you care about the safety of your church members? And he said, this was the moment that the world needed the church the most. And believers needed God the most. And we had the doors shut.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what I regret.
Yeah.
Not that trying to get people sick or get them in that direction, but like God was needed. God was desired. God was right there. And we didn't have that open for him. And so that was something that stuck out to me, because you get to hear both perspectives, like the one like, oh, you don't want people getting together. Then you got another saying, hey, I want people getting together in Jesus' name.
Right.
So completely different worldviews, right?
Right. And the thing is I'm glad that the churches I'm glad we didn't go that far, because I love the church. Like, I support the church, but at the end of the day, like, and the thing is we don't have to wait until the doors get locked before we do this. Right. That's the point that I'm making. Is we don't have to wait. I was explaining this to someone the other day. Like, we were having a conversation about, what it would look like for them to start a group in their home. And they started asking all these different questions like, hey, do I need to go get permission from this person? And I went, permission? What do you mean permission? Like, just do it. Just call up the people that are in your neighborhood around you. Call up your coworkers, call your friends, that guy at work, like, invite him over, cook some food, because just like Field of Dreams, if you feed them, they will come.
They will come.
They will come, right? That was a rule in student ministry. If you feed them, they will come. But cook them some dinner and then do Bible study in your house. You don't need anyone's permission to do that. Just go and do it. And that's the thing. Just to be clear, that's the thing, that, if the church, and I mean us as the people, I'm not talking about the organization of the church, but if we as the church would step into that, imagine what it would look like. Imagine what our communities would look like. Like, Randy, you're kind of you and your wife are kind of doing something similar to this.
Yep, that's what we're doing right now in our household.
Yeah, where you're just inviting people over, and you're inviting people to come in, and you're teaching the word.
Yeah, and we sit down and talk about the Bible, going through chapters and discussing things and learning even what words mean in the Bible versus what we think it means to us today.
Right.
Like
The application of it.
Yeah. So
Well, context matters.
It does. So it has helped, and there's a lot of people that are shocked because you hear it on stage from the pastor, but you're not grasping it all, because they're only taking a snippet, but they're not diving into it. Well, here you're kind of forced to dive into it, because you got the people here to look at you and want to listen, and then it forces them to go in and do what they were doing, is diving in themselves to get more into the Bible and understanding what Jesus meant.
Well, the bottom line is you don't have to have a pastoral degree to do that.
No, you don't.
Right? You don't, trust me, I went to school for this. You don't have to go to school for this to do it, right? Like, and I say that to use as an example of, I've seen people lead way better than me that have zero training, right? And you go take a look at the way the church cranked up, right? There weren't any nothing against seminaries, nothing against education, but there wasn't that. Right? Those things didn't exist. These people were just following the Holy Spirit, and they were diving into the Word and studying and getting to know Jesus on a deeper level. And in the outflow of that, they were helping other people. And that's when you saw the miracles happen. That's when you saw all these crazy baptisms and salvations. We could have that right now. We just need to step into it.
And I think when the whole COVID thing and the church shut down and we had to go to online
church online,
I think it did help others grow, because now instead of going to the church to meet and talk, now you're forced to text or call or make that visit over to see how people were doing, because you checked on them more.
Right.
Because you couldn't see him every Sunday. Jimmy didn't make it Sunday, and then we'll be back next Sunday and see him. Now here you were kind of always concerned. And I think people reached out more to each other, I feel.
Well, and the thing is, I heard someone say this once, and do you know where the center of Christianity is, population-wise right now?
No.
It's not a country you would expect. China. China is populous, I guess I'm trying to say this correctly, the center of Christian, where the most concentrated amount of Christians are in the world. I think they said, and this, correct me, I could be corrected if I'm wrong, but they said it was like China, like Iran, and like North Korea was the top three. And all those three places have one thing in common. Well, they have many things in common, but they have this main theme in common, and it's Christianity is illegal. And the thing is, and I've heard word from missionaries and stuff like that who are over there that, they meet in these homes and these rooms, and there might be 100, 150 people crammed in this person's apartment. Like wall to wall, there's no chairs, like they have to take the furniture out. They're baptizing people in kiddie pools, okay? Like they're sitting there cramped. And I can't imagine the AC is not keeping up with this, right? Like you're all crammed in there. And the thing is Christianity is exploding. Well, the reason why is because there's no such thing as, no one's there for the wrong reasons. No one's there because they're trying to claim status or trying to look a certain way. People are there because they're looking for something. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for God. Mm-hmm. And they're even under the threat of going to jail, going to prison, or even worse than that. But yet these Christianity is exploding there because people are realizing, because when Christianity is under fire, people realize that it's real. These words that we're reading, these words that we're talking about each and every week, people realize that these words here bring you hope, they bring you joy, they bring you all these different things because they connect you to the Father that gives those things. I've never once read a passage here and applied it to my life. Never one time. I can't say this about any other book, but I've never once read a verse of Scripture, applied it to my life, and regretted it. And so if you don't hear anything else today, I want you to hear that hey, if you're on the fence of following God, give this thing a try. I dare you. I dare you to give this thing a try and come back and tell me if you regret it. Because I go ahead and tell you, I know the answer to that question. You're not.
You should try it, Andy.
You should try following
Ouch.
Jesus. Yeah.
I was trying to get it before you got me.
No, we're adding more words to you being cut.
Yep.
We're just going to cut out all of Randy. We'll just take him out of the shot. You'll look like it's just me and you talking, Andy. Wow. And what's crazy is all of that right there came out of 2 verses.
Yeah.
Like Scripture is so deep, and just the fact that, and we got to wrap this up because we're running out of time, but James says, don't be deceived, brothers and sisters. Number one, let's go look at context. He's talking to Christians. He's saying, hey, he's giving these Christians a warning, because we know what Jesus said. Jesus said, narrow is the path that leads to righteousness, and broad is the path that leads to destruction. And James is saying, hey, guys, don't be deceived. Because remember, on the last podcast, I think we mentioned this, God and the devil both have a plan, a purpose, and a blueprint for our lives. And we get to choose which one we take, right? And God's plan is to give us life, and the devil's plan is to destroy it. So we are about out of time. When we come back, we will pick up with verse 18. Oh, and we're gonna talk about being quick to listen and slow to speak. That's gonna be a fun one.
I'd love to see Randy navigate that.
Oh, here we go. All right, guys. When we return, we'll dive back in. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to the Words with Woodsman podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. We'll see you next time.